All right, so I'm gonna walk through a quick overview of what I did on this old truck to get the bed how it is right now, and kind of also what I intend to do in the future. Pardon the wind; it is very windy today in Kansas. So again, what I did. This was not a wood floor originally, of course. This was a full metal floor, but it was completely rusted out. The support member down here, it packs mud over the top of it and it just rusts. It bubbles right here real bad. So I cut out along the side over here, cut the metal out and peeled the top off, peeled the tack welds up off of the top of my supports here, and I left a flange for welding on the outside of everything around there, or on the sides. And then I had a guy fab, he had a real good brake, and I had him fab two pieces of metal for the front and for the back of all of these. So all four of those flat panels across the bed were replaced. Sorry, the section of offcuts, we're going to use that. I spent the afternoon delivering Christmas trees for the church Christmas tree lot with the old truck, which was real special. Loved that. So make sure you use your old trucks, boys. Okay, a couple of other things about doing that if you choose to do that. So you've got this back piece of metal here, and this is just rolled sheet metal. It's nothing majorly supportive and structural, but you've got tack welds and a bead weld all across the back of here. So as you lift that up, be real careful you don't torque and twist this, okay, because it will twist, and you'll end up with, when you get done, you'll end up with a little bit of a gully there that you can lay your bed material in, okay. So that was that. Now you've got this piece, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total rails plus the back, so you've got 6 spots here across there where you've got tack welds. And if you're trying to take off the old bed floor and remove it, in that valley on the ribbed section, on every valley you've got 2 tack welds. At least that's what I had. 2 tack welds per valley across the entirety of the width of the bed here between the wheel wells. Okay, and so rather than drill them, because then we were going to weaken our support member, I got an air hammer and a blade and just peeled them like a can opener. Peeled the metal off in sections. Cut between the supports with a Sawzall or a cutoff wheel, and then peel that section on up and over. And again, you've got one that's running right about here. Okay. And then back over the top, what I went with was, these are the Marquet polished stainless steel hidden fastener bed rails. You could do the other ones. The reason why I went with the hidden fastener ones is because these are really intended for the step side beds, okay? And their supports, I'm not certain that their bed supports are in the exact same spot. So if you get the ones that are pre-drilled with the square carriage bolt hole, I don't know that they line up. But with the hidden fastener ones, I can run and slide that bolt to wherever it needs to, okay? And then this is just particle board, or plywood right now, the 3/8 plywood that I've got here between the pieces, and it's about, see, my hand there, pinky to thumb, is 9 inches, so pinky tip to thumb, so we're at about 8 inches. These 2 outside are narrower. They're about 6 3/4, or no, more like 5 3/4 there on that side, and then we're about 8 through the middle. Okay, and we ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 strips, because we needed 2 on the outsides over here on each side, as opposed to just the ones in the middle. Okay, so we needed more strips than what you regularly would do in a situation like this. The other thing is here around the wheel wells, okay, there are 2 supports here that run. There's one here, and then there's another one at the front end of the wheel well, okay? They don't have a lot of meat that they're hanging on to there back underneath. Okay, so I left a good lip there about that big around the front of the wheel well that we left behind to keep those cross members attached to the bed frame while we did the rest of the work. Okay, let me crawl underneath and see if I can show you all what it looks like from underneath, because I think that's helpful and illustrative. So, so you can see here, once you come back, you drill your hole and you run your bolt with a washer through that's supplied by the Marquet kit. Okay, so back here you can see the flange that I left of the old metal, and that also had a screw that we put in that I then ground the top off of beforehand after tack welding this to help hold that in place, to make sure that these brackets didn't break free while we were moving. Now, of course, we were moving the bed all over the place while we were doing that, okay? And you can see our tack welds here and there. The other thing is, when I was done with getting everything secured, I used some of that U-POL spray-on bed liner after priming everything to spray up in there and to coat everything to try and keep any more rust or mud from coming in. I'm less concerned about that because it's a city truck now. It's not spending a whole lot of time out in the country. But you could see the flange that I left, and you could start to see the flange here that I left over the top of this, and you can see that there's not a lot of meat that these guys are hooked to by the wheel well. Okay, so that's why we left that. We welded it back in, made sure everything was secured and squared before we started removing a whole bunch of other material. And you can see the wood, we actually took a saw blade and removed some of the wood over the top of those cheeks that we left there. Okay, it's not the cleanest job in the world, and this wood of course isn't permanent, but it's working for me and it's working for the moment, and it looks real sharp. You know, lots of, hey, that looks really neat. But if you guys have any further questions on it at all, any other information needed, let me know. One thing to note as well, okay, the reason why these side ones, this side, the outside ones are narrower, is to move these bolts away from being over the top of the frame rail and the bed mounts. The bed mount bolts come through those holes, and you need to allow yourself some more space there. So we went narrower on the outside, then we went the same width through the middle, and again narrower on the other outside. But that is just to make sure that you can get to your bolt down points underneath there and make sure everything's accessible, it makes sense, and it looks as good as it can from the top. Okay, good luck.